So when I first opened my restaurant, there was no smoking ban. Then my restaurant was right near the New York Stock Exchange. So you had a lot of finance bros, for lack of a better word. And I will never forget, there was one finance bro who was at the bar with his cigarette, and he just had the ashes go on the floor, on the wood floor of my restaurant. So I went over to him and I said, excuse me, you really can't do that. And then he looked at me and he's like, well, why not? And he did it again. So I said, well, now you're gonna have to leave. And
kicked him out.
Kicked him out.
Hey, and welcome to Check Please. We're in Council District 5 with Council Member Menin here at Green Kitchen. The first question to start is, what is the iconic New York City food?
Well, for me, it's pizza. I have to tell you, when I was pregnant with my kids, I ate so much pizza. It was my comfort food. It was my go-to food. It was also the first food that I had late night in college. You know, here I went to school at Columbia, and so a lot of Coronet pizza late at night.
What is your favorite pizza shop in your district?
San Mateo Pizza. It is the best. If you've not been, you have to go. It's really incredible. So my husband and I sometimes go there when we get a rare date night. We love it.
So right now we're at Green Kitchen outside, and I'm curious, what's your favorite part about dining outside?
Well, I love dining outside because, first of all, it lets you really experience the community, experience the streets. It makes you really feel like you're part of New York City and what is so great about our city. I'm a former restaurant owner. So years ago, I owned a restaurant called Vine in Lower Manhattan. And, you know, at the time, while my restaurant did not have outdoor space, I got very involved in supporting outdoor dining many, many years ago. On the morning of September 11th, my husband was supposed to be at a meeting at the World Trade Center. I couldn't find him for that morning, but thankfully he was okay. At that time, it was obviously a devastating time for our city, and my business was completely destroyed. Every window was blown out. That white grayish ash was in every inch and crevice of my business. When that second tower fell, that is when all of our windows blew out. We were in the frozen zone for 3 months. There was actually still an NYPD security checkpoint with bomb-sniffing dogs in front of what used to be my business. And so after 9/11, I started a not-for-profit organization that was focused on rebuilding downtown. And one of the things we really focused on was actually outdoor dining. It was sort of the precursor of what the outdoor dining program is that the city launched during COVID. And so one of the ideas that I pushed forward that the city implemented shortly after 9/11 was to take some of the streets that were closed to vehicular traffic, like Broad and Exchange in Lower Manhattan around the Stock Exchange, and to waive the fee for sidewalk cafes, to put out chairs and tables. And so we really tried to create that outdoor dining experience in the streets in Lower Manhattan after 9/11.
First of all, it was a really powerful story, and thinking a lot about the parallels to 2020 and outdoor dining and how that also was part of the recovery effort for New York City post the first initial wave of COVID is how can our city recover? And so that's really interesting to hear. I'm so curious. Well, one small thing you talked about was waiving the fees for sidewalk cafes.
Right.
I'm still curious. Could you talk a little bit more about why did you choose to waive the fees for restaurants to participate in? What are some of the other restrictions you see that restaurants might have to participating in outdoor dining now?
Well, so after 9/11, we really wanted to support small businesses. As a small business owner my business again was devastated on 9/11, we wanted to help other small businesses. So we pushed to have these sidewalk cafe fees waived in those certain areas around Lower Manhattan. And we also were able to convince the city and at the time the Downtown Alliance to put out chairs and tables on those streets that were closed to vehicular traffic. I served formerly as the Commissioner of the Department of Consumer Affairs. That's the agency that was,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No, this is perfect.
This is great.
Oh yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Emergency vehicles can pass really safely when there's outdoor dining.
Exactly. No impediment to access. So as a former commissioner of the Department of Consumer Affairs, looking at the prior program that we did around sidewalk cafe licenses, when I served as commissioner, I was very, very supportive of making sure that the agency was supporting the sidewalk cafe licenses, making sure that they were done in a timely manner, making sure that we were permitting as many as possible. Because again, it is a lifeline to small businesses. Certainly during COVID, it became even more of a lifeline, supporting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses all across our city who needed that extra revenue. And it's not only about the revenue, it also improves the quality of life in our communities. When you're walking by and you're seeing these incredible structures, I think it really points to the creativity of New York City.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I'm curious, why have fees, pretty small fees in the scheme of like the city's budget, but large in the scheme of like a restaurant's budget? And the kinds of restaurants that are participating in outdoor dining are not like McDonald's, you know, there are a lot of like local small businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious, why have fees to participate for businesses in the first place? Does it make a big part of revenue for small businesses, services, or I'm curious if you could talk more about that.
Well, the problem is the fees are too high. So I actually have a bill right now to reduce the fees. So I believe we need to improve upon the current outdoor dining program. When the council passed those laws, I was someone who said, well, I really think this should be year round. Now, hopefully the council will be fixing that. I've got a colleague, Council Member who has that bill. I have a bill that would take outdoor dining away from the Department of Transportation, because I was completely opposed to giving it to DOT in the first place. I don't believe you should be giving outdoor dining to a transit agency that has absolutely zero experience in it. And we saw that in the very hard-hitting oversight committee, that the committee that I chair, the Consumer and Worker Protection Committee. We had a very, very hard-hitting committee hearing on outdoor dining, where we showed that DOT had actually only approved at that time a very small number, 73 to be exact at that time, permits, and that's completely unacceptable. So I've got a bill that would move the jurisdiction away from the Department of Transportation, bring it back to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, agency that I used to serve as commissioner of, that clearly has experience in dealing with sidewalk cafe licenses. That is really, again, they are much better equipped to be dealing with the outdoor dining program, in my humble opinion, than DOT.
That's great. And I'll definitely ask you a couple more questions about your bill, but we're gonna take a quick detour to talk about what we're drinking right now. Councilmember, first of all, what is your go-to coffee order? When you go to a bodega, what do you order?
Okay, well, I love coffee either with oat milk or whole milk. I know people are usually purists, so normally you get people who are just like, I'm purely oat milk. I do actually both. I sometimes want oat milk, I sometimes do whole milk.
Do you ever mix the two?
No, but now I'm thinking.
Now you're thinking about it. And what are you drinking? You're drinking coffee.
So right now, I'm drinking coffee with whole milk. I'm a big coffee drinker. I wake up extremely early in the morning, start that coffee brewing, have several cups in the morning, and then always have an afternoon coffee. So I was just telling you before we started.
Just gonna say,
caffeine, the new studies show, is good for you. I've always thought this, but now there's proof positive. There are new medical studies out there that said that if you drink a minimum of 2 cups of coffee,
They agree.
Or tea. Doesn't need to be coffee. If you drink, the medical studies show a minimum of 2 cups of coffee or tea or any caffeinated beverage, much better for your health. So proof positive that coffee is good for you.
I'm drinking 2 cups of tea minimum a morning, so that's really a relief. So someone's watching this video, they see we're at Green Kitchen, fabulous establishment on 2nd Avenue. What would you suggest them ordering?
Pancakes. I'm a big pancakes person in the morning. Bagel, love bagels. Scrambled eggs. You know, Green Kitchen is great because it's one of these places where you could literally have breakfast.
This is your breakfast spot.
Yeah, it's a fabulous spot. And you can have breakfast, or you can have, here we've got a quesadilla. There are many things you can order. They've got great salads, but I think breakfast is really what they're known for, and they have delicious coffee. I have to say, the coffee is great. Highly recommend it.
I'm drinking hot chocolate with sprinkles.
That has caffeine too, so good for you.
But I had 2 cups of regular tea in the morning. That was my caffeine today. Okay, so tell us more about this bill. What are you proposing in the bill? What should New Yorkers know about it?
Well, I'm really excited because, again, a couple months ago, we did have this hard-hitting oversight hearing because it was unacceptable that at that time, with the over 1,000 applications that DOT had a backlog of, they had only approved 73. So that is an enormous issue. And again, I think part of it gets to the point, and I said this at the hearing, I don't believe a transit agency has any business really being the agency that's implementing outdoor dining. I mentioned this to the bill sponsor originally on the original outdoor dining bill, but was overruled on that. And so now I really think we need to fix that. And so my bill would bring jurisdiction to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, which I think is a much better and more appropriate agency to be administering the program. I also have a whole series of other bills to fix other elements of the program that I think need to be improved upon. To, for example, lower the fees, a revocable consent, to really lower those fees so the fees are not punitive to small businesses. We're looking to support small businesses, not in any way penalize them. So, for example, when I served as Commissioner of Consumer Affairs, I instituted the Small Business Relief Package, which were 25 reforms to lower fines on small businesses and allow businesses 30 days to cure a violation before receiving any fine. And so we really want to take that through to the outdoor dining program, which is we don't want a program that's punitive. And right now the fees can be punitive for some of these businesses.
So besides the fees, what are some of the other aspects of the current program that might be punitive to small businesses?
Well, I think some of the architectural drawings, we heard a tremendous number of complaints from small businesses that they would submit drawings to DOT and then the drawings would just be sitting there and they weren't being reviewed in a timely fashion, or the questions and input that they were getting back from DOT didn't seem to make a lot of sense. So we drilled into some of that in the hearing, and so I think that's a problem as well. And I would say about my former agency, the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, because that agency has years of experience in sidewalk cafe permitting, there are people there who have experience in this area. So why on earth would we not utilize that experience?
Right.
And so again, I was very critical at the time the outdoor dining bill passed. Of course, I supported it and was one of the co-sponsors because I strongly support outdoor dining, but I did not agree with the decision to move it to DOT, and I really would like to see that corrected. And also, I'm very happy to see, and I strongly support Council Member Ressler's bill. I put in for that bill as well, and I'm so thrilled that that hopefully will move forward, because absolutely we need to make this program year-round. You can't have a situation, I say this as a former restaurant owner, where the program is seasonal and you're having to basically put all this equipment, you're having to pay to store it. A lot of businesses do not have the room to store it, so where are they storing it? Now they have to subsume potentially an extra fee to store it. It makes no sense. Outdoor dining should be year-round. That absolutely has to happen.
So what would you say to one of your colleagues in the council who say, well, people aren't eating food outside in December in outdoor dining? How would you respond to that?
Well, many of them are. I see it in my community. Sometimes there are certain days, and look, we know we have global warming. There are days in November and December in the cooler months that actually are warm and it is suitable for outdoor dining. And people actually do like to bundle up and eat outdoors. It's like just a wonderful kind of New York experience. So why would we not allow small businesses to do that? If small businesses are going to put the money in to get this permit, they should be able to then utilize it year-round.
100%. So we love outdoor dining. It's such a wonderful way to support our small businesses, but it's also wonderful use of public space and social space. And so thinking about public spaces, what is your favorite public space in the district?
In the district is James Cagney Plaza, which is in the lower 90s. There's a street that is completely closed to vehicular traffic. It's next to Rupert Park on 2nd Avenue. And one of the things, and I brought the Parks Commissioner there when I first became a council member, because I thought we could extend Rupert Park into James Cagney Plaza and really make a linear park. And so that's something that I've been committed to. I've been working on this idea to try to make this closed street a linear park.
Can you tell the people listening and viewing this in like 30 seconds, what is your pitch for a plaza block in like every neighborhood?
Well, first of all, because we live in a city as dense as New York City, we need to make sure that we are activating more open spaces, because it's so important. We need to be planting more trees, we need to be creating more parks, but we need to also be creating more open plazas, open streets, place where pedestrians can walk, places where you can walk with your kids, places where you can have outdoor dining. That's something just to make the city more sustainable, more livable.
And so before we end, I'd love to know more about your restaurant. As a former small business owner, what did you serve? Can you tell us what it was like?
So it's really interesting. So when I opened my business, it was a long time ago. It was 1999. And my business had close to 100 employees. It was a restaurant, it was a bar, it was a catering space. It had many different components. At the time that my restaurant opened was actually the time when the smoking ban went into effect. So when I first opened my restaurant, there was no smoking ban. So you would have, and my restaurant was right near the New York Stock Exchange, so you had a lot of finance bros, for lack of a better word, who would come in to the bar, take a cigarette, and I will never forget, there was one finance bro who was at the bar with his cigarette, and he just had the ashes go on the floor, on the wood floor of my restaurant. So I went over to him and I said, excuse me, you really can't do that. And then he looked at me, he's like, well, why not? And he did it again. So I said, well, now you're gonna have to leave. And
kicked him out.
Kicked him out. But then the smoking ban went into effect, and it was revolutionary because no longer was the bar filled with smoke. It actually like literally changed the whole ambiance and plate. You really changed the mood in the restaurant and really made it a much healthier place.
What was your favorite thing on the menu of your restaurant?
Oh, my favorite thing on the menu. We did this unbelievable salmon dish. I happen to love fish, and it was like with tons of vegetables and a really interesting sauce with dill, and it was just delicious, and it was my favorite. And yeah, I mean, I miss that business. Like I put my heart and soul into it. I worked 24/7. I worked really hard when I was a lawyer and many late nights, but owning a small business was paled in comparison. It's 24/7, and you have to be willing to do every single job imaginable. You have to wear 10 different hats. The toilet breaks, you're in there working on that. The reservation system goes down, you're fixing that manually, and you need to do it. Someone's not in the kitchen, you need to get in the kitchen and do it and be part of the line. So you've got to be someone who can multitask and who can organize and do a lot.
You've got a million things to do. You don't need to worry about another new regulation of outdoor dining. So we appreciate you bringing this bill. And with that, check please. Yay.
Nice work.
Okay, great. All right, amazing. I hope that worked.
That was great. I loved hearing about your restaurant. That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing all those things with us.